Ladies and gentlemen, what's up and welcome. It's here. We're here. If you didn't know, it is the Inside the Hashes 2021/2022 because, well, I guess it's just 2021. But anyway, it is our third annual fantasy football selection show. We're not drafting just yet. We are selecting the order. Thank you so much for tuning in. Want to just give a shout out to everybody who is tuning in. If you are not tuning in, tune in. And if you are tuning in, share the link. Share it with your friends, your family, your bae, your boo thing, your brother, your cousin, your auntie, your grandmother. Share it. You never know. She might be in a fantasy league and you don't know. She probably beat you last year. But we're not going to get into that. Listen, my name is Avery Collins. I am the vice president of Inside the Hashes. It's a pleasure to be with you guys. And I am joined by none other than that's right, the THEE, Sam Kirk. Sam, introduce yourself to the folks.
How's it going, guys? I'm excited to be here. I think we're in store for a great football season. I'm just praying that, we could have a healthy one in that and the superstars stay healthy throughout. And I'm excited for this draft to get going and see where we're all picking right here.
Listen, I couldn't agree more. Lewis, you got it right. Let's get it. But yes, Sam, you brought up a very, very key thing, hoping everybody stays healthy this year, right? Hoping that the stars actually stay healthy. It just makes for more fun. Obviously, we know that when the stars do kind of go down, it makes it a little bit more fun in the aspect of now we have to see, okay, can you get somebody on the waiver wire? Can you make some trades? All those different things. That's fun as well, but nothing is more fun than watching the best players play on the field on Sunday, Thursday, and Monday. So, man, I cannot wait. It's about to go down. Sam, you are in Penn State. You're at school and everything like that. Tell us how it's going there right now. Like, what is the football juice right now at Penn State?
I think things, pretty positive. It's kind of tough based on last year. They stumbled a bit through the Big Ten season. It was a tough year for them, losing both Micah to COVID reasons and Journey Brown, who actually had a heart issue, and he no longer plays football, but he was a guy that was in the Heisman running and was supposed to be the next Sanders Spark. Like, he was the guy after that, and he played with them, which was a shame to see. But I think this year, with Clifford, it's all going to be on the first couple games. They play Auburn and Wisconsin right off the bats in 3 weeks. So if they can win those two games, they're going to be in the mix. But it's going to be a tough season.
It's going to be very, very interesting to see. The reason I bring this up is obviously some of those players at Penn State will be getting drafted, and those players will eventually be some of the players that you guys draft in your fantasy league. So with that being said, we're going to actually get this thing started. We're going to kick it off, right? I think everybody wants to know, who's going to get the number one overall pick? Who's going to be last? Who's going to be in the middle of the pack? All of those different things. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to bring on our first person. Now, just for you guys, just a little background here. What we're going to do is we're going to give you guys some interesting facts about these people, right? We're gonna talk them up. We're gonna talk them up a little bit. We're gonna talk about some interesting facts and everything like that, and then we're gonna kind of give them a slight interview, see where their mind is, see if we can pick their brain and get some draft strategy out of them. So without further ado, we are going to bring on our first contestant, our first person, and that is none other than #350 himself, Coach Darren Braxton, and he is he teaches and coaches at his old high school. Now, this is phenomenal, right? That is a prime example of giving back. I mean, look at him. Look at his stance. He is giving back right there, okay? His wedding is the first wedding he will be at. Okay, now that is an interesting fact. He's never been to a wedding before, and his wedding is going to be the first that he will be at. It's going to be phenomenal. Congratulations again to you and the missus. His niece is older than him by 4 months and won't let him live it down. Your niece is older than you, by 4 months, your niece is older
Listen,
than you.
listen here.
I need some type of backstory. Just give me like a 15, 30-second backstory as to how that happened.
So my older brother decided, you know what, I'm about to have a kid. And maybe a couple months after, my mom said, oh, well, you're about to have a little brother. So it was just a race against time, and unfortunately, she won out. So we are where we are now, people.
You were being lazy, man. You were being lazy. You got off the blocks lazy, man. You were Sha'Carri Richardson. No offense, no shade. But you didn't put forth the best effort to come out on top, man. Come on.
Listen, it's not my fault. I used to always tell them, man, give me 6 more months. You would have waited 6 more months for me. We would have been set, my guy. But it is what it is.
Listen, man, it's all good. It's all good. So, all right, here we go. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask you a question, right? Then I'm going to let Sam ask you a question, and we're going to get this thing rolling. Cool? All right, so my first question is to you. Your pick number 5, right in the middle of the pack, okay? Right in the middle of the pack. For some reason, somebody selects Patrick Mahomes first overall. Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, and Derrick Henry, for some reason, fall to you. Alvin Kamara went, Dalvin Cook went, Nick Chubb went, and now it's on you. And you've got CMC, Saquads. Did y'all see what I did there? Say quads, because it was quads. and King Henry on, and you're on the clock. Who do we select here?
CMC.
Okay, all right. Well, short, sweet. He knows.
Listen. We're talking about fantasy here right now. If we're talking about an actual team, it might be a little more harder decision. But if we're talking fantasy, you can't get better than miss 1,000 and 1,000. Like 1,000 and
so
1,000 and 1,000 with almost 100 catches each year. Come on, man.
So no concern.
Can't beat that.
No concern for the new quarterback and different things like that. Coming off the injuries last year.
No, not at all. Because one, for me, I felt like CMC was able to come back the end of last year if he wanted to, but there was no need for him to come back at the end of last year. They might as well shut his season down, let him get fully more healthy, and he already was coming back at the end of last year. Saquon was still more so it's recovering, and Derrick Henry he's still king, but he's more one-dimensional than two. He's become, a little more catching, but it's still not there for me. CMC, full package, man.
Okay, got.
Darren, so now I'll go to you here. Knowing you're a Ravens fan heading into this season, how do you feel about Rashad Bateman's draft ADP, considering he was injured in training camp? But man, so I did see a TikTok of him a couple weeks ago just absolutely running by Marlon Humphrey in training camp. And, there are flashes from this guy that make me think he may be that best wide receiver in the class. But it was a really shame to see him go down. And, what do you think? How late would you draft him? Where do you kind of see him developing in that offense this year?
So that teaser that you're talking about, I've seen that as well. That made me smile so much. And not because he burnt Marlon, but it was because he burnt Marlon. Marlon is one of the best corners in this league. And for him to be able to do that so early on and act like a pro at the end, not the showing off, the dancing. Listen, don't get me wrong. I love the gritty every once in a while, Mr. JJ, but still, the professionalism and it's another day at the office. That's what we do. I love it. But to see him get hurt, it definitely hurt me. But for me personally, 12th round, 10th, 12th round, around that area, especially depending on the league that you have, I'm still going for him a little bit higher than a lot of people. He's definitely going to produce for us. He may not have the 1,000-yard season, but he will be coming up big in big times for us.
Yeah, he's a guy to look at, especially in dynasty leagues where, you're keeping players and late round draft picks are a little more valuable. So, you circle him if you're
Perfect.
in a dynasty league. Rashad Bateman, that is a name you want on your draft board. And now I'll ask you just one more question here before we go to a wheel and we decide where you're going to be picking. So Lamar Jackson, going into draft night, is that going to be are you going to reach for him if he's there and, you could just see your team building around him, or are you going to get as many running backs and receivers as you can? So do you have any idea?
So I won't give up too much of my secrets, but I will say this. I've been bitten before by Lamar. I still have full faith in Lamar because he will win us a Super Bowl. But when it comes to fantasy, I'm not reaching. I'm going very strategic, and I am going to win. That's all I'm here for. W's.
See,
make it simple.
I agree with what you're saying, but I think Lamar this year, especially with how their receiving core was shaping up, and don't forget about Sammy Watkins, especially with the Bateman injury now, he's going to be catching passes. So they have more guys than they ever had for him, and hopefully Mark Andrews, Brown, and they could all do a decent job and show off his ability to absolutely just throw sometimes. I mean, that's an underrated skill that he has and shown he's able to do that at some points in games. So with that, we're going to see right now where Darren will be picking in this draft as here come Avery right back in. There we go.
I'm back. Technical difficulties, guys. Listen, we're in the tech era, unfortunately, so we're not in person. And so with that being said, the Wi-Fi can act up. Wi-Fi for those who don't know what Wi-Fi is. But anyway, we're back. So we're going to go ahead and get into Darren's pick. Darren, we're about to do it. So behind the scenes is our CEO, Mr. Jerome Jones himself, the CEO. Darren, before he clicks tap, what pick do you want, man? Three to five. In that range. All right. 3 to 5. Well, how about this? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Where we at? Let's see it. It's spinning. And oh man. So close to number 1. 12th overall. Talk to us, Darren. How do you feel about 12?
Honestly, I'm not going to lie. I'm a little happy. I'm a little happy because when it comes to the draft, back-to-backs are always great to have. It may take a second for me to get around there, but I'm telling you, once I get my picks, I know exactly what I'm going for, and I know I get at least one of my 3 guys I'll have set up. But hey, who knows?
I like it. Okay, so he is content with number 12. He does, in fact, get those back-to-backs. Darren, thank you so much. We're going to move on to our next contestant. And before we do that, Sam, what do you feel about 12? Like, how would you feel if you got pick number 12?
I think it was a good spot for Darren to land if he wasn't going to get inside that 3 to 5 range. And I think, he's going to have an idea already in his head of what running backs he could pair together. It's a nice spot where you can get an Austin Eckler and an Aaron Jones at, 12 and 13. And, that's your RB1 and RB2 for 16 games this season, hopefully. And, that's a lethal pair, but I can see him going wide out if they fall. Like, there's a lot of different places he can go, but I think you got to be thinking running back. I think I would just double down on that.
It's definitely a great spot to be because you literally dictate how the second round is going to move from there on out. From that last position, right? You get that last pick. Like you said, most people would like to double up, get 2 running backs. After that, again, but some people, you never know. He might go running back and quarterback. He might go running back and tight end. He might go running back and kicker. We don't know. Stranger things have happened, ladies and gentlemen. He might draft 2 kickers back to back. I mean, he did say hashtag 350 at one point, so we don't know. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and move on to our next participant. Our next participant is none other than Keenan Ryan. Keenan Ryan is from the small coastal town of Rockport, Massachusetts. I've never met anybody from Rockport. Boston, yes, but never Rockport. So we're gonna have to talk about that one there, Mr. Keenan. He went to Eastern Connecticut State University. He's a Patriot fan who refuses to follow Brady to Tampa. We might dabble into that one. And he had a Snapchat conversation with Chandler Jones once. Okay, Keenan, you know what? We're gonna have to go right there. You had a Snapchat conversation with Chandler Jones. What?
I did.
How?
It was early stages of Snapchat, and he was just trying to get his name out there. So I added him, and I was like, "Is this really Chandler Jones?" And he was like, "Yeah, get the word out." He said a couple other stuff, but don't remember it.
Yeah, that's pretty dope. That is pretty dope. Okay,
good guy.
I like it. So Rockport.
Yep.
What is the attraction to Rockport? Again, I've never been to Rockport. I've never met anybody from Rockport. I've been to Boston a couple times. Know a couple from Boston, and everybody loves Boston. But I keep hearing some people from Massachusetts like, "Well, no, you got to visit Rockport." So what is it?
Very touristy town. Beaches everywhere. Small little downtown. Do some shopping. I think the population triples in summertime. It's crazy.
Oh, wow. The population triples in the summertime.
Yeah.
That's different.
Very small town to begin with, though. So
I like it. I like it a lot. Okay, Sam, any questions for Keenan?
I'm just wondering, was that Chandler Jones when you were Snapchatting him? Was that when he was a New England Patriot? I'm guessing. Yes, he was.
Yeah, rookie year.
So what's your take this year on your rookie, Mac Jones? How do you think Mac Jones is going to go out through this year? And do you think Cam Newton's the guy that he should be looking up to and admiring and, trying to learn under like Cam?
I think Cam's going to start the season. We'll see how he does. And I got high hopes for Mac Jones. Next Tom Brady.
Because for me, when I watch Cam sometimes, he throws – whoa, wait. You said – yeah, wait.
We're hopeful over here.
I hear that correctly. So you guys – heard that yourselves. So Mac Jones is the next Tom Brady. Now, I don't know about that, but what I do know is I think him growing with the young core that the Patriots have on offense now, I think is the right thing to do at this point. And I think,
definitely.
I don't think where he is in his career, it doesn't line up where the Patriots are as an organization. It doesn't.
Right.
Last year, and they gave that a shot, but it doesn't now. And I think it's wasting a year in that rebuild. And I was a Giants fan. We did that ourselves. We lost more games. We wasted more time with players like Saquon. It's a shame to see.
Right.
That was what I was wondering from you. So what pick now are you trying to look into, especially now 12 is gone? That's a popular pick for people to want.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I'm glad to let it out. I like the first half, top 6 maybe.
Okay.
Big running back guy, so need those top 5, top 6 players.
I like it.
All right, straightforward answer there. We're going to see that. Bring up the wheel right here for Keenan. Top 6. Here we go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come on, Keenan. Let's go. There you go. Right in the middle, I think.
Okay. Solid.
I'll take it.
Solid. 4 is a good pick.
Yeah. I'm liking it.
All right, so Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara, Derrick Henry, and let's say Saquon are off the board, and you're a big running back guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who are you taking between Nick Chubb, Ezekiel Elliott, and let's say we'll go with a team that looks to run the football a lot this year. We'll go with J.K. Dobbins. Between those 3 guys, who you picking up?
I'm liking Nick Chubb this year. I think he'll carry most of the load with Kareem Hunt there. But between him and Zeke, I'd say. We'll see. Okay.
All right. Will, you are correct. Very solid spot. I like the pick. I like the Nick Chubb pick. I actually might lean somewhere else, but I'm not going to get too much of my strategy there. Thank you, Keenan, so much for joining on. It was a pleasure. And I might be looking to, snag that pick from you or something like that if we do trade picks, but we'll see.
We'll see.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of the evening. Pleasure.
Glad to be here.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have picks 4 and pick 12 out. They're no longer available. We've got a great solid mid-round pick off the board. And then you've got the last pick in the first round off the board. These are some really good picks. What are you thinking of how this is shaping up so far, Sam?
I think it's interesting that Darren got stuck at 12. I think that's, you kind of said how that back half of the first round really dictates where the draft goes. So it'll be fun to see what he does with that pick. And, Keenan got what he wanted. So we're going to see what Luca ends up with here. It should be interesting. So, it gets me thinking where I'm going to be. I'm sure it does for you. So let's get this thing rolling.
Yeah, man, it's going to be phenomenal. Just breaking news, not so breaking news. Darren Braxton, a.k.a. Coach, a.k.a. 350, he's probably going to draft Lamar Jackson first. So now we're going to go ahead and move on. Sam, you already said it. We've got Gianluca, who is going to be jumping on with us next. We are going to bring up his fun facts, and we're going to introduce you guys to him. He was in our fantasy league last year as well. He is an extremely funny guy, very laid back. But he's got a lot of humor in him. So he loves to sing karaoke. That is something brand new. Didn't know that, ladies and gentlemen. Did not know that. So shout out to that. I'm not a huge karaoke fan. Owns a Seattle Seahawks Thomas Rawls jersey. Wow. Thomas Rawls. That's a name I haven't heard in a while. I like it. He has never won fantasy football in 8 years. Ouch. Ouch, ouch, ouch. And this year won't be that year either. No offense, but I'm just going for the crown. He has never eaten sushi before. Okay, listen, you know what? I'm going to start there. You've never eaten sushi? Not one.
Nah, it smells weird. It looks weird. I can't get behind it.
Listen, man,
I'm
the guy that gets people ingrained into sushi. I love sushi. And everybody's like, and I was that person. I was like, nah, I never tried sushi. What do you mean raw fish, such and such? And then I put people on, I was put on to what's called a Godzilla roll.
Okay.
And that one changed my life forever. It's deep fried. And it's phenomenal.
So I gotta get sushi with you then.
It's for sure.
Yes, you sound like you're doing a guy. You're a sushi guy.
Then you move yourself onto the California rolls, and you're like, okay, raw vegetables and crab meat and stuff. And then you get to the smoked salmon and whatnot, and then pretty soon you're eating the eel rolls and all of that stuff, and you're like, sushi is great. It's great. All right, so let's see here. What pick are you looking? I mean, obviously 4 and 12 are gone. What pick are you looking to snag you?
I got a lot of options. I got just about the whole draft, but I'll take it like a top 5 pick. Get one of the stud running backs.
I like it. Yeah, you definitely want to get a stud running back, Sam. Is there anything that stuck out in his 4 interesting facts to you, or any other questions you have for him?
I just want to ask him about. I know how he's an Eagles fan. I want to ask him about Jalen Hurts' 8th draft position right now, and he's kind of one of those quarterbacks that's on the edge of being, I think I could put him at 11 or 12, see him finishing around there in the fantasy rankings this year. I think it's a fair estimate. And, once those guys go on, you want some guy with a little bit of potential and maybe a team that might play from behind a lot this season. So what do you think about him as a potential quarterback sleeper?
For fantasy, I think he's going to run the ball a lot. And if you get a quarterback that can run a lot, especially he's not being drafted like a top tier quarterback. So that's a good late pick. He's got the rushing yards, and Jalen Reagor's been balling out in camp, so he's got some weapons now. I think he's having a good year.
Yeah, Reagor's an interesting point. Those 2 catches were phenomenal. I was a little worried when he didn't pass his conditioning test to start camp, but I think he's in a better place now, and it'll be interesting to see how he produces. It's a big year for him.
That backhand catch in training camp. Did you see that video?
Oh, it was phenomenal.
Oh, dude, it was crazy.
He had multiple backhand catches. Multiple of them.
Ran by Jason Jackson a couple times, too, right by him. I mean,
yeah.
It's good. It's cool to see, but, we got to see it in the regular season now. That's
it's only practice.
So
All right.
let's go.
We're going to go ahead and find out where you are picking now. So we're going to go ahead and bring up our wheel, and we're going to get this thing started. While we're bringing the wheel up, let me ask you a question, okay?
All right.
Actually, you know what? I'll save it for after your pick, okay?
All right.
And 5, 4, 3, 2, and spin. Let's see it. Let's see. Oh, man. Pick number 10. Pick number 10. So
Not what I wanted, but I'll take it.
It's a rough spot, right? It's like there's enough. It's at that point where you can start to dictate movement, right? You can say, let's say all the top tier running backs are gone and different things like that. Now you can go, okay, well, I'm going to get the number one receiver from last year, or I'm going to get the number one tight end or quarterback or whatever, right? And then you've kind of got, it's not a real back-to-back, but that second round, you don't have to wait too much longer to get to your second pick. So who would you take if you're in that spot where there's no other running backs that you quote unquote would say, okay, this is a premier fantasy running back? Are you taking a receiver? Are you going to mess up everybody's draft board and take a quarterback? Like how would you play that at number 10?
Well, you kind of made a good point by saying getting the number one tight end. I think having like a Travis Kelce is obviously the number one. Having him is just such a huge advantage. So depending on how it goes, like I wouldn't mind getting some Kelce in the first round.
I like it. Okay.
That's not bad.
It's not bad. It's not bad. And I like it. I understand the strategy, right? You want to get that tight end off the board. Sam, is that something that you would look at as well? Or are you still saying, hey, okay, maybe the top tier running backs aren't on the board, but I still need running backs in a PPR football, fantasy football league?
You know, probably at 10 for me. I'm thinking big play wide out, you know, that you're just going to get. I'm thinking Tyreek Hill. I'm thinking safe with that, just based on him being on the younger side instead of Travis Kelce's 33. Don't get me wrong. Kelce is phenomenal what he does, but, you know, he is on the downside of his career per se. I don't want to say he's not going to be the same, but, you know, I think Tyreek Hill is just Tyreek Hill. So I'm thinking Hill there. I mean, Austin Eckler too, another great player that I think deserves that recognition inside the top 10. I think that Charger offense is going to use him in many different ways that is really effective in PPR leagues.
Absolutely.
It'll be very, very interesting to see. Luca, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. Good luck to you this season. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Of course. Thank you. I'm about to go to see a movie.
Nice. What movie?
Black Widow.
It's really good, man. They were throwing hands in that movie, boy. They were getting in, boy. I'm telling you, I was like, what? It was great. You'll love it. Stay for the end credits.
All right, always. It's a Marvel movie. You always got it. You guys.
All right, so now we're going to go ahead and move on. We're actually going to move on to Richie here. Richie is not available for us, but we do want to introduce you guys to Richie and let you guys know who he is and let you know some interesting facts about Richie. Richie was in our league last year as well. Richie is not from New Jersey, okay? He used to be a Jets fan, but he's not from New Jersey. Put two and two together, ladies and gentlemen. You can't. I don't get it. And there is a Central Jersey. Richie, you just became one of my top 5 favorite people on the planet. There is a Central Jersey, ladies and gentlemen. There is a Central Jersey. I live in it. We don't get claimed by the South. We don't get claimed by the North. So what do you call us? Central Jersey. All right, so we're not going to waste any more time here. We're going to go right into Richie's pick, and we're going to see where he lands. So we're going to go to bring up our spinner, our wheel, and we're going to get right into it. While we're doing that, Sam, you are on the clock. Excuse me, you are you're on deck to be on the clock. Obviously 10, 4, 12 are gone. I know you like the mid-round picks and everything like that, but if you had the number 1 overall pick, who are you picking?
I'm probably just going to take McCaffrey and not really think about it. just
All right.
because, you know, I think Sam Darnold at the end of the day is going to be an upgrade compared to Teddy. And, you know, last year when McCaffrey played 3 games, 30 points in each one. I mean, he was there. I mean, that was just last year. And, you know, I think I don't know who made this point, but it was really interesting. You know, he played, so he probably is a little bit healthier and will be ready and sooner than those other guys per se, like Barkley.
Gotcha.
So,
it makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get Richie's pick here in 5, 4, 3, 2, spin. It's spinning. Oh, he's going to have a very solid pick. Number two, again, kind of like that number 10 pick, right? Not necessarily one overall, but you kind of get it back-to-back because you don't have to wait too long once you actually do pick on the flip side of the next round. So that's pretty good. And if somebody slips up on that number 1 overall pick and doesn't say take Christian McCaffrey or something like that, it can fall. I was just in a league where we just had our draft last weekend, and somebody drafted Patrick Mahomes number 1 overall. Yes, I said it. Patrick Mahomes number 1 overall over Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey falls to number 2 to the smart person who took him. Richie is going to be at number 2. With that being said, Sam, you are now on the clock. Mr. Sam Kirk, my co-host, is now on the clock. So let's introduce the people to Sam Kirk. Sam met Odell Beckham Jr. He actually met him in person. This is true. He's a sophomore at Penn State University this fall. He won the first ever Inside the Hashes Fantasy League. This is true, ladies and gentlemen. He was in high school. He beat all of us in our first ever Inside the Hashes Fantasy League, and he's a huge fan of 80s rock music. I love it. That means he's well-rounded, and his parents are doing something right, teaching him good music. Excellent. All right, so let's talk about it. Let's talk about your encounter with OBJ. How did that go?
You know, that was a cool day. You know, I saw a Giants game down at the Link, and it was one of my friend's birthdays, an Eagles fan, so we were just at the game. And, you know, I was pretty good friends with Doug Pearson's son at the time, and he kind of let us down on the field. And, you know, Beckham was just warming up there. I, you know, showed him my jersey, called out. I said, "What's up, Bo? Like, come on over." And, like, you know, he gave me the finger and waited for a second, and then he walked over, signed my jersey, took a picture. It was cool. It was a nice experience.
That's pretty awesome, especially being a Giants fan, right? You can.
Yes.
I mean, how do you get better than that, right? Odell Beckham Jr. was at the height of his game at the time. He was all the rave as far as what you want in a receiver, right? It was like him, Julio Jones, Antonio Brown. Those were the guys. There were no other real names, you know, maybe a DeAndre Hopkins, but he still was kind of getting slept on. Stephon Diggs wasn't Stephon Diggs yet. All of them, it was those 3 guys, and you got to meet him at the height and while he was still on your team. For those who don't know, again, Sam is an avid Giants fan, so that is pretty dope. How did you get into 80s rock music? Was it your parents? I was just taking a guesstimation.
You know, yeah, I would say so. My dad just, you know, he grew up on that. He just always has it on, always plays it. So, you know, whenever we're playing golf or just around the house, you know, just kind of just fell into it, I guess.
I like it. I'm not mad at it at all. My favorite rapper of all time is KRS-One for that reason. My parents played a lot of old school hip hop. KRS-One became the guy for me. So we're not going to wait any longer. We're going to let you go ahead and get your pick. I'll let you go ahead and count it down if Jerome could bring up our wheel, and we'll talk about where you land.
All right, let's do it. 3, 2, 1. All right, Jerome, let's do it. Here we go.
Dun, 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 dun.
6.
Oh, right in the middle of, literally smack dab in the middle of the pack. Right in the middle. How do you feel about that? Need your reaction.
You know, I think I'm okay because I know I'm going to get one of the top running backs. Like, I still can if I want to, and I still have the flexibility to take Devontae Adams. So I think that's it's a powerful spot to be in. And
it's definitely a good spot to be in. Again, you can dictate a lot from that middle of the pack spot. You, like you said, you can take a Devontae Adams or a Tyreek Hill or Travis Kelce or like, because you can say, quote unquote, some of those top tier backs are
Yeah.
going.
I mean, I think you'd probably know what I'm going to say, but if Saquon Barkley falls to 6, I'm not passing.
He's not going to 7. He's not going to 7. I got it. So how do you feel about, that turnaround time, right? You've got a little bit of a wait after you take that pick at 6, right? You've got to wait until the other 6 go, and then it turns right back around, and there's 6 more picks. Essentially, it's like 12 picks at that point that you're waiting for. How do you feel about that? Like, what is your strategy kind of going in there?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you kind of just have to wait and see which running backs do fall. And, you never know if one of those top guys does drop, like an Aaron Jones. I mean, it's possible. It's probably a little late. I'm thinking just middle of the second. And it gets interesting with wide receivers, a guy I like. And I think Justin Jefferson, I think he's a absolutely outstanding wideout who, frankly, I think could be top 5 in fantasy this year. And I think the Vikings offense will be a high scoring team. I think big things will happen in Minnesota. It's just kind of random, but I trust that wide receiving core.
I understand it. I'm going to be honest. I'm not super sold on Justin Jefferson this year. I think he's going to see a lot more number 1 corners than he saw last year's rookie year. So we might see a decline, but we might not, because he might just prove to us all that it wasn't a fluke. He actually is made for this league. So it'll be interesting to see. All right. Well, Sam is number 6. With that being said, we're going to move on, and we're going to bring on Mr. Stidham season himself, Mr. hashtag for the hashtag of hashtag 350, Mr. Cam for MVP himself, Darius Riddick. We're going to bring him on. We're going to introduce you guys to who he is. If you don't know, he is the 3rd and final member of the Aired Out podcast. Darren was obviously on here as well. He was our first guy. And so he played the drums in elementary school, my fellow drummer, percussion all the way. I like it. You should get back into it. Stop sleeping. He loves Call of Duty. I suck at Call of Duty, so I'm just going to let you have that. That's a dub for you. And he is a die-hard Patriots fan. That remains to be seen. We don't know about that. I don't know, but he probably is. I mean, he's the only person who was talking about some Stidham season and everything like that. I mean, I was actually pretty shocked. So, Darius, the preseason, you have now seen 2 games of these Patriots. You've seen Mac Jones twice. You've seen Cam Newton get out on the field twice. You've seen Damian Harris tote the rock. What do you think is going to happen? First question is, who's going to start week 1? And then number 2, how does the offense, based on who you pick for the starter, how does the offense evolve around that person?
I think it's Cam. Obviously, we saw what Cam can do. My number 1 thing with Cam is just consistency, right? I think it's just, if you're going to perform well 1 week, you got to do it the second week. And I think last season we didn't see a lot of that. Now, granted, the excuses were he didn't have a full off season. He had the weapons. Now he has all that. So now it's just a matter of him going out to perform, especially because Mac Jones, yes, it's preseason, but he's performing well. He's making the correct reads. He's not turning the ball over. He's very accurate with the football. He's pushing the offense. So I think regardless of who's under center, I think the Patriots are going to be a run-first team just because of the running back committee that they have. And then the defense, if you can get a good pass rush, I don't know what's going to happen with Gilmore. Obviously, I want him back, but it really just depends on what they do with Gilmore. But that front 7 is going to be the focal point of that defense. If Matthew Judon can continue to play like he's been playing in the preseason, I think it's going to be still a free agency. But I'm just excited for this season, man. I'm ready to – I keep telling y'all on the podcast, the Belichick Revenge Tour has started. Y'all just not hip to it yet.
Okay. I mean –
You're not hip to it. That's all I'm saying. You're not hip to it yet.
What's your response to that, Sam?
I don't know about the whole revenge tour thing, but one question I do want to ask you, other than Damian Harris, there's not a lot there on offense. Where are they going to get that production from? Where is Cam going to find receivers? I mean, it's not fair to him when you're judging him throwing to Aguilar, N'Keal Harry, and Jacoby Myers. I mean, is it that fair? Like, you're giving him, and then you might just get Mac Jones killed. You know what I mean? That's a part of it. So how do you view that? How do you view who they're going to get yards from?
I think it's going to come from multiple guys, right? Like, you got to understand Hunter Henry. This is a guy who stays on the field. He's arguably a top 10 Tight end Gianno Smith, another guy. You got Kendrick Bourne, Jacoby Myers, who last season, a lot of people, he really emerged as you could say he's a number one, but if not a number one, he's definitely a number two, or you could put him in the slot, right? So I think when it comes down to who is going to get those yards, it's really going to be heavily on Jacoby Myers. You got the 2 tight ends. You got James White, who we know what James White can do when he gets the ball, if it's a screen or a little dump off. So I think it's going to come from various of receivers and tight ends. Obviously not N'Keal Harry because we see what's going on with him, but I think Nelson Aguilar, he's going to have a pretty solid season. Kendrick Bourne, a solid third option, a guy who can really just get you that first down. And then, like I said, Jacoby Myers and Hunter Henry. It's really just a matter of Hunter Henry can actually stay healthy and be on the field for most of the season, as well as Gianno Smith.
All right, I like it. All right, quick question, and we'll get into your pick. So it's round 15. We're at the end of the draft here, right? And you're filling out your bench and everything. You've got all your starters locked in. You're feeling good about your team. But you're like, I think I need one more receiver, right? And you're thinking about taking a chance on a rookie, a young receiver, and you're torn, right? And you've got 3 guys on your board, and they actually all 3 of them fell to you. Quez Watkins, Jaylen Wilder, and EJ Moore. Who are you taking out of those 3 receivers?
I'm gonna go with Jaylen Wilder. I know that may be a generic answer, but I'm gonna go with Jaylen Wilder. I think Miami, the way that he can be used, right? Screens, little dump offs, and once he gets the ball in his hand, it's just a matter of him just kind of like the Odell. Once Odell gets the ball in his hand, we know what he can do. And I think Jaylen Waddle kind of has that explosiveness to really just, once he gets the ball, it could be a short slant route. He can take it to the house. He just has that breakaway speed. And I think Miami would utilize him that way, kind of like in a Tyreek Hill kind of situation where you're gonna see him be in a lot of motions and just little screen passes, and you gotta jam him at the line because he's just so fast. So you want to be physical with him, and you don't want him to get past you, because once he gets past you and Tua can make that pass, it's kind of like, all right, that's 80 yards to the house. That's fantasy points that I need right there, especially if I'm gonna start him and my receivers on a bye week. So Jaylen Waddle.
All right. I will say, while we bring up the wheel, I will say don't sleep on that guy, Quez Watkins, man. I think he's actually going to do some pretty interesting and eye-opening things this year. So just don't sleep on that guy, okay? That's all I'm saying. Just don't sleep on him.
I think Rondale Moore, too, is another name to kind of circle in your papers. You know, he's in a high-powered offense in Arizona, you know, a team with a capable guy in the MVP mix this year. You know, he is a guy to keep your eye on, considering if that team is 12 wins, 13 wins, he's going to win MVP. I can tell you that. And Clint Sperry's going to win Coach of the Year. So, you know, they're going to have to use more guys on the outside other than Hopkins, and Rondale Moore is there now.
And he's been showing himself. He's been showing up in preseason. So I can definitely agree there. The Dolphins might have one of the fastest receiving corps in the NFL with Grant and Waddle. So listen, you know what? I'm not mad at the Waddle pick. Just saying, don't sleep on Mr. Watkins. In 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Oh my!
No, he didn't get it.
I'll take third. I'll take third, man.
It was so close to number 1.
Third, man.
He was so close to CMC. He was so close to CMC. All right, so number 3, again, very, very, very solid spot, but also a very tough spot, right? You know, Chris McCaffrey is probably going to go to number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Then after that, it's like, who do you take, right? At 2 and 3, that's tough. You can take Nick Chubb and nobody can say anything. You can take Alvin Kamara, nobody can say anything. You can take Derrick Henry, nobody can say anything. There's so many choices. If you had, I guess your pick, let's say it goes Christian McCaffrey and Alvin Kamara, right? Who are you taking at 3? It's tough.
I feel like that's a tough one because there's really no wrong answer, right? Like Christian McCaffrey, like Sam said, when he played, he gave you 30 points. Alvin Kamara, last season, I think he had one game when he had 6 touchdowns, right? So you're going to get at least 15 or more points from each player. It's just a matter of the strength and schedule of how each player is and how they're going to use them. So for me, And I think I'm gonna go with Alvin Kamara. That's a guy who I feel like I drafted Christian McCaffrey. I know what I got out of him, and I passed up on Alvin Kamara, so I really want to take that chance with him. I think we don't know who the quarterback is.
Kamara's off the board. Remember, Kamara's off the board. CMC and Alvin Kamara went 1 and 2. Who are you taking at 3?
I went with Dalvin last year, man, and I think I would go with Dalvin again just because he got me through that first half. If he can get me through that second half, which really where I struggled last season, especially with all the other positions, I would take Dalvin again just because that offense really is built around him, right? They're a run-first team.
Yeah.
He catch the ball out the backfield, so he's going to get you a couple of receptions, screens, dump-offs, and things like that. So I would go with Dalvin Cook.
Solid. Thank you so much, Darius, for jumping on. We appreciate it. Good luck this season. We are going to go ahead and move on to our next candidate. All right. So, I mean, number 3, Sam, while we're preparing for our next candidate, number 3 is a very, very solid spot. I don't think you really can miss there. Is he right? Is Dalvin Cook the 3rd running back off the board if it's not if Christian McCaffrey and Alvin Kamara go?
Yeah, I mean, if you're feeling risky on draft night, I could really see 2 guys also in the mix there, both Saquon and Zeke. I think a lot of people are kind of sleeping on Zeke still. He lost some weight. He looks slimmer and looks like the Cowboys are having a nice camp, quiet camp, nothing really happening. I think they're getting some players back in that offense. So as long as that happens and they move the ball, he's going to have his scoring opportunities. And I think he's going to be running with a little attitude this year. He knows what happened last year. He does.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's going to let it happen again.
Yeah, I think all the Tony Pollard talk got into his ear, and I think he's ready to show guys that he's still Zeke and that they didn't pay him for no reason. All right, so we're going to go ahead and bring on our next candidate. Please let me know if I am pronouncing this correctly. Louis Echevarria. Because I'm getting 2 different spellings here, but I'm going to go with the spelling that he put in the chat. Echevarria, I'm going to assume.
Echevarria. I think so. There you go.
Now that's my guess. I'm going to go with Echevarria or Echevarria. One of the two. I'm terrible with names. I'm very terrible at remembering names. But anyway, he's afraid of heights. Wow. I don't think I've ever met anybody afraid of heights. Well, admittedly. He hates breakfast. We're in the same boat. I love breakfast food. I don't like eating breakfast, though. He enjoys pedicures. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be pedicures, but if it is, I want to get one day. If it's pedicures, I'm going to ask you what that is. And you own a trucking company. See, now we're talking. That man is a businessman. He works for himself. He does not ever have the option of hearing the words, "You're fired." I love that. Louis, talk to us about 2 of those things. 1, owning a trucking company. How did that come to pass?
That's actually a new thing. It's just this year. I've been in business like 4 months, but it's like you said, man, just having that mindset of, I want to be my own boss. I want to, be the guy that, people look to. I want to be the guy, just like you guys, you and Jerome. You guys are doing your own thing right now. So just being along that same mindset as you guys,
Love it. Thank you for joining us. Did we get the pronunciation of your last name correct? Give us the pronunciation, please.
It's Echevarria.
Echevarria.
Yeah.
Echevarria. It's close.
Yeah, it's close. It's pretty good. It's been butchered a lot worse. I'll give you that.
All right. So that gives me a little bit of leeway there. One other question: was it pedicures or pedicures? If it's pedicures, got you. If it's pedicures, what is pedicures?
I don't know what a pedicure is. It's definitely pedicures. But
Okay.
I don't know, man. Something about going and getting them done is it's comfortable, man. Everybody should go and try it.
Yes. Our CEO is very, very proud of you. Guys didn't know that is one of our CEO's close friends. So shout out to Louis being on with us. And again, shout out to him going into business for himself. I cannot stress that enough. That is super, super dope. And congratulations for your launch this year. We just celebrated 3 years ourselves. So we totally understand it. And good luck to you. If in any way we can support, we will. Sam, any questions for Louis?
with not letting picks left, like what are you thinking here? How do you you could finally see what you're gonna end up? Have you looked at the wheel? What do you imagine?
I think something on the back end is good. I've done a lot of mock drafts, and I like my teams a lot more on the back end of picking. So whatever's, I guess,
so
11
pretty much that back.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's see if he gets, in fact, number 11 in 5, 4, 3, 2, spin. Let's see it. 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11. Oh, man.
Not quite.
Almost at first.
I won't complain.
Fifth isn't bad. Fifth isn't bad. How do you feel about number 5? You didn't get the latter end, but you got that middle of the pack right around, again, that time when things can get a little bit tricky, right? Like the top 3 or 4 running backs are presumably going to be off the board. What is your strategy there?
Hoping that somebody takes the quarterback in front of me.
I like it.
That's definitely my strategy. But now, in all seriousness, we'll have to see how it plays out. I mean, there's some guys that I'm probably a lot higher on than other people that might not be, somebody might look at him and think that he's a second round guy, but I might have him in my top 5. So we'll see how it goes.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, Lewis, for jumping on. We do appreciate it. Good luck to you this season. We can't wait to see how this thing plays out. We're going to go ahead and move into our next contestant. Our next contestant is actually me. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and bring up our interesting facts. I'm not that interesting, guys. I'll let Sam, you do the honors of introducing.
Okay, well, the first one, we're going to have to come back to that. I can't believe that. And then the second one plays 3 instruments, went out the country for the first time this year. Lion King is still the greatest movie of all time. I remember your huge stance on Lion King before, but Avery, you've never been to the Georgia Dome. You've never seen your team play a down of football live before.
Never have. I plan to this year. Eagles, Falcons, early part of the season. As we open up the season that way. So I plan on it, and a lot of my homies are turning 30 in September, the following week, and they want to do that for their 30th birthday. So I was like, you know what? I'll try to make my way down there. But yeah, I've never actually attended an NFL game. I mean, I'm not an Eagles fan, so I never felt like, I gotta go see an Eagles game. I'm not a Giants fan, so I never said, and I live in New Jersey. But I used to live in Georgia. I was too young then to go to a game, to even remember if I did. So, but yeah, so I've never been, but I definitely plan on going at least once this year, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think that'll be an exciting game. One of those week 1 matchups that's probably going to be overlooked, but one really competitive game, 2 offenses, really explosive. So now with the wheel kind of limited down, what do you think? I mean, you want one? Why wouldn't you? I mean, it's right there for the taking. McCaffrey's there. You can have him. I mean, is that the ideal situation?
I mean, at this point, I think that's the pick that I would want, right? Like I would my personal preference is either 2, 3, or 4, or again, that back end 11, 12. Those are my preferences, 2, 3, or 4, or the back end 11 to 12. A lot of those are gone already. So at this point, let's get number 1 overall, see what we can do, see if we can snag the other back-to-back in this draft, and see how we can finesse it. So, we'll go ahead and bring up the wheel and see what happens, with this pick here. But I'm kind of excited. I think I'll get a pretty solid pick. I wouldn't be mine with 11 again, because I would like 11, 12, or at this point 1. So in 3, 2, 1. What do we got here, ladies and gents? Spinning. It's spinning. Keep going. All right, 9. 9 is tough for me. I'm not even going to be like, I'll take it. I'm okay with it. No, 9 is tough for me. Simply because, again, it's a little ways before I get to pick again, right?
Yeah.
There's 3 picks after me, 10, 11, and 12, which means there's another 3 picks 1, 2, 3 before I get to pick. There's 6 picks in between my first pick. And then in between that, it's even more. So it's gonna be rough, but I think I can finesse it. I think I can pull it out and draft a pretty solid team. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting spot for sure. Not really kind of at that loop like the 11 would be. I saw that on the wheel just now, but like he kind of said, 9 will do the trick. You're still in that middle ground, and I think you're gonna have an opportunity to take one of those second tier running backs that will go right away in the second round if they'll last. So we'll introduce our next guy here, Chris, and we'll get on the way here.
Yeah, it's tough for me, man. It's tough to kind of be at 9. The reason that it's tough is just because you don't know what the guy in front of you is going to do, right? At 7 and 8, that's around the time that things can get a little bit funky. You might see somebody draft a quarterback, a tight end, a defense, something like that. And with that being said, now it kind of puts pressure on me. Do I bring the reins in again and take a running back there just to kind of get the flow back onto it? Or do I continue with the trend of somebody just threw a fork in the first round by drafting Patrick Mahomes at number 5? Right now, do I say, well, I need a quarterback myself who's going to be dynamic? And do I go get a Kyler Murray or Lamar Jackson or something like that? Do I do those things? So it's going to be very interesting. I think I had 9 in another draft earlier this year, or somewhere close to it. And so I'm okay with my team, simply because some of the people that I was in the draft with, they just weren't the best. I'm just going to be honest. I was looking screw-faced at a couple of the picks that went before me. I was like, oh, okay, George Kittle and Travis Kelce go before 9, go before Devontae Adams and Tyreek Hill, and
I mean that's early.
Yeah,
and,
so
I'm thinking Waller over Kittle too at this point. From a fantasy standpoint, I think it might be a bold take, but the targets were there last year. I mean, 107. I mean, that is nuts. I mean, he's an absolute great player, and I'm excited to see kind of how that race develops to see who's the next best tight end in football. Because once Kelce gets older, that's the next two, and Mr. Pitt's down in Atlanta, your guy. So,
yeah, I think he's going to have I'm questioning how his season is going to go. I think he's going to have a really good season for a rookie. I don't know if he'll be in the top 5 category, but I think it'll be solid. I think
600 yards, 5 touchdowns. I mean, that's what you're looking for, I'm thinking.
Yeah, I think that's a solid season. Yeah, definitely. I think that's a solid season for a rookie. Something like you said, something to build on. But we'll see. But like you said, we're going to go ahead and move on. We're going to bring in our next contestant. Our next contestant is a former yes, listen, Will, I can't wait either. I cannot wait. Draft night is going to be electric. I cannot wait. But yeah, so we're going to bring on our former Air It Out podcast member, Mr. Chris Thomas. He used to be on the Air It Out podcast with us, and then he moved on to bigger things in his life and has his own Run It Back sports podcast. So shout out to Chris for doing that. Again, he's a Philadelphia Eagles fan. His all-time favorite QB of all time, I should say, is Steve Mcnair. Very good pick. I think he's a very underrated quarterback. A lot of people have kind of forgotten about him, but he's a great quarterback. Favorite football movie is football movie player is Paul Crewe. Okay, different. Adam Sandler fan. I like it. Okay, and he says "My Way" by Frank Sinatra is his go-to karaoke song. Okay, Chris. So you're a Frank Sinatra fan. I am too.
Mm-hmm.
Give us a snippet, man. Come on, give us like 5 seconds of some Frank. Let's hear it.
And now the end is near, so I face the final curtain.
I like it.
That's fast.
I like it.
Wow.
I like it.
Impressed.
I like it. Good song to choose as well. Very good song to choose as well. A lot of people don't know about that right there. That's good, Frank. That's good, Frank. All right, so Chris, obviously, not a lot of spots left. The number 1 overall is still out there, though. Is that what you're
Mhm.
eyeing, or what pick are you eyeing now? I think there's like 11 and 7 and 1. And what are you eyeing here?
I would only want the number one pick because I would auction it off the trade down if trading draft picks was available. But other than that, I don't mind the number one pick. I really don't, because it's the tone setter of the draft, and I already kind of have an idea about who I want to do what with the number one overall pick anyway.
All right. Any questions for Chris, Sam?
Yeah, Chris, I'll ask you more of a random question here, but when you're looking at the tight end position on your Eagles squad right now, where do you think that comes in at a fantasy impact? Are you thinking Dallas Goedert's going to be that 5 or 6 tight end 6 this year, or is he still going to be more like tight end 9, maybe like 8 or 9, 10, just because of the fact that Zach Ertz is still on that team?
It's kind of tough to gauge the tight end position. Listen, I feel like Dallas Goedert is definitely going to be leading all the tight ends to snaps. I think we're going to see a lot less 12 personnel because you got Devontae Smith. Quez Watkins is having a really great camp. Jalen Reagor is also having a really good camp as well. So I think you're going to see a lot more 3 wide receiver looks and Dallas Goedert being the lone tight end out there. However, it all comes down to the quarterback position. If Jalen Hurts does what he needs to do and the offensive line stays healthy, then I definitely see this being a big year for Dallas Goedert. Nick Sirianni says this is going to be a big year in terms of the offense for tight ends. However, if, God forbid, something happens to Jalen Hurts, then I'm not touching any Eagles skill position players at all, even the running backs.
All right. So next question, and then we'll get into your pick. I know you're a huge Ohio State fan, right? So my question is kind of centered around one of those players. Let's say it's round 4, 5, 6 or something like that, and you're like, well, I need a quarterback. All of the premier quarterbacks are off the board. You've got your pick, and we're in week 3 of the preseason. It's just been announced. Justin Fields and Trey Lance will now be starting for their respective teams. You've got your pick between Trey Lance, Justin Fields, and Zach Wilson. Who are you drafting and why?
As much as I am a big fan of Justin Fields, I'm going to go Trey Lance. Kyle Shanahan is one of the better offensive play callers, and his supporting cast is much more reliable and probably consistent week to week on a fantasy basis as opposed to what Chicago and New York has. Trey Lance will have Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel. I mean, Sam talked about George Kittle being being one of the best tight ends in the league, and rightfully so. But not to mention, you still have a running game to play off of Trey Lance's athletic ability as well.
Yeah,
Justin
Chris,
Fields.
I'm sure you agree with me here. I think Brandon Ayuk this year, possibly potential breakout number 1 guy, and I think he's kind of right the ship in their wide receiver unit that hasn't had that one in a while. They haven't had a number 1 wide receiver. When they had Crabtree, I mean, you can make a case, but besides that, they've had a lot of okay guys, and it'd be cool for them to get that number 1 guy and use that Samuel and their other weapons as secondary options.
Yeah, their number 1s have normally been tight ends. So
Yeah,
Vernon Davis back then, and now George Kittle.
It'll definitely be interesting to see. So let's go ahead and see what pick Chris ends up with here. Jerome, if you could please bring up our wheel in 5, 4, 3, 2, spin. Bum, bum, bum. We're looking at number 8. Number 8 overall, Chris. That's a tough spot to be in. You're right before me, man. You might dictate what I do there. So, what do you think about it? What is your feeling on pick number 8?
Solid pick. Hopefully, I don't know, because I normally like to go running backs first because I like to get a top running back first because you always know what you'll get from like a Christian McCaffrey. You always know what you get from an Alvin Kamara. Wide receivers are a little more tricky unless it's like Devontae Adams and Tyreek Hill. It's a passing league, so it's like it always fluctuates. So hopefully I'll be able to get the running back I want in number 8. And I'll use that running back to once again kick Avery out of the playoffs again.
I thought you were going to let me live there. Ladies and gentlemen, for those who do not know, one of the years in our Inside the Ashes football fantasy football league, I believe it was last year maybe even, if not the year before for sure. I lost to Chris by I think it was like point. It could have been like 0.3 or 4 or something like that points, and I was sick. I was sick to my stomach because I was like, that was the game to get me in the playoffs, and I knew that I was going to win if I had gotten into the playoffs, and I just needed one more point, and I think I would have been good. And I actually lost on a stat correction. No, I lost on the bench player rule. That's what it was. I lost to the bench player rule. That hurt. But it won't happen again this year, Chris. I'm coming back for vengeance. I am coming back for vengeance. Chris, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
See you on draft night.
Draft night.
See you,
Around
Chris.
the corner. Around the corner. We're going to keep this party rolling, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a phenomenal night so far. Sam, give me your thoughts about how this has shaped up so far.
It's interesting that number one still isn't gone. And I think Jerome or Matt or Ray are just going to luck out and just have a no-brainer night one, and I think they're going to have McCaffrey. So
the number one overall pick is about to get selected right now. I'm feeling it. Somebody's getting number one right here. So with that being said, I think it's going to be Ray. Ray is actually on the clock now. We're going to bring Ray on to the scene with us. This is Ray Roberts. If you don't know, that is my twin. I know you all can see the similarities. Just look at it. He is my twin. He is a huge music lover. This is a fact. He is a family, faith, and football, music, and career person. I love that about him. He's one of the most authentic people I know. He's a huge Notre Dame fan, and he just became a proud grandfather. Again, congratulations to you, Ray, and our former partner, Ryan Roberts. Ryan, if you are tuning in, big ups to you. Congratulations to you and your beautiful wife. Hope that you guys are doing well. Ray, man, it's good to see you as always. Let's talk about the grandfather situation. Is Ray here? I don't see Ray there just yet. Oh, there he is. All right, we've got him. Ray, let's talk about it. Your grandfather. How do you feel, man? How does it feel?
It's the best. I mean, it absolutely is the best feeling. I mean, like, you think when you become a dad, and like Ryan's almost 30 this year, which blows my mind to begin with, but I never thought that you could love somebody as much as you love. Like, it's just crazy, man. It really is. It's just every day, every time I get to see her, it just reminds me of why I'm here, to be honest with you.
Gotta love it, man. For those who don't know, Ray Roberts is one of the most authentic, sincere people on the planet. He has love for everybody. He loves his family, and it shows in everything that he does. So it's always a pleasure to be with him. Ray, I believe that you're about to get the number one overall pick. This is my guess here. If that is in fact the case, are you going with the community-wide consensus of having Christian McCaffrey be the number one overall selection? Or are you going to kind of stir the pot here?
I don't want to give it completely away. I will say that except for last year when McCaffrey got hurt, he had been like as steady as any running back in the league the last 2 or 3 years for sure. I mean, when he came into the league, I was worried about that with him because you weren't sure if he could carry a load, but he has. So I wouldn't hesitate to pick him, but I am a huge Dalvin Cook fan. So,
gotcha. I like it. Sam, any questions?
No, I think he hit it pretty much on the head. I think Cook and McCaffrey are 1 and 2, just depending on Kamara's situation, where a lot of his production came in that one game last year when he had 6 scores. Like, on paper, a lot of people don't see that, but that is true. So let's see what Ray is dealing with here. I think he's going to end up knowing what he's going to want to do with pretty much any pick left on the board. There's a couple good picks left on this wheel here.
Yeah,
I mean, I am a Kamara fan too. Obviously, I think everybody is, but he really does a lot more in the passing game than he does as a straight runner, and that scares me because he doesn't always get enough carries in the game. But I mean, the kid's one of the best athletes in the league, so I wouldn't hesitate to take him either. To be honest with you.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree there, and Jameis is not, and he's projected to be the starter. He's not the guy that always dumps the ball down. He likes to go deep down the field. I mean, we saw what he did in Tampa. He's my personal opinion, he's the reason Chris Godwin got the money that he got. He went over 1,000 yards. He had 2 receivers go over 1,000 yards. He likes to spread the ball around. He likes to get it down the field. He's not a huge check down guy. So it's a possibility that Alvin Kamara, his touches and receiving even go down. So he's such a question mark there. So I understand it.
You know what, Xavier? I think also you actually could see them to concentrate on running the ball more too with Winston. You know what I mean? Like to bring them safeties up closer to the line because we know that Winston can throw the ball. He can air it out almost as good as anybody in the league. The problem is you always see that secondary coverages that teams like to throw at him.
Yeah.
And they could be more of a power running team with Kamara and some other mixture of backs and then take some pressure off the quarterback that way, which probably would be a good idea. So,
yeah, I could agree there. And, having Latavius Murray, who's, again, a solid back who knows how to run the football. He's a veteran. He knows how to run between the tackles. He's more of the power guy. So I could definitely see that. I
think the question will be, is it going to hurt Michael Thomas? And you think that's probably what's going to happen.
Definitely going to be interesting to see what happens in New Orleans. But you spoke about airing it out. Let's talk about your Dolphins real quick. Obviously, they've got a lot of speed on the field. We've talked about that. We referenced it earlier in this live stream. We talked about Jaquan Grant, Jaylen Wilder. Obviously, we all know about how the emergence of Devontae Parker. Finally, right, if he can stay healthy, we can see that he's a legit number one. And then you've got the Gesicki, who's one of the more athletic pass catching tight ends in the league. What are your expectations for your Dolphins this year?
I mean, obviously Buffalo's right now is the best team in the division. They won the division last year, so I'm not going to say anything against them. But you're forgetting Will Fuller and Albert Wilson too, who's back on the field this year.
Yeah,
I mean, you really could see them go completely vertical with guys that have – Miami has not seen speed like this since Duper and Clayton, to be honest with you. So,
yeah, Ray, I want to ask you about one thing as well involving the Miami offense. Myles Gaskin, a lot of hype has been around him heading into this late summer, August period where football is finally shaping up. Do you think he's going to really get that workload that people are thinking and he's going to solidify himself as a 3-down back right away, or is that going to be a thing that kind of develops throughout the season?
I think you're going to see Miami use a committee of running backs, but I think Gaskin will be the number one guy, not to give away too much stuff. I mean, him and Tua seem to have a nice chemistry between them. Like I watched the Atlanta game yesterday, and I know it's just preseason, but Gaskin and Tua seem to be on the same page, like on every play. And I'm a Myles Gaskin fan. I mean, I love guys that are late round picks that you get the most out of their ability, and he's a guy that just outworks everybody on the team. So he deserves everything he gets. So I like the kid. So yeah, I think he'll be the number one back. I do.
We're not going to talk too much about how the Dolphins demolished those Atlanta Falcons last night. So we're going to move on and talk about the other side of the ball. Xavier Howard, right? We all know what transpired this offseason, everything that went happen. He wanted a new deal. He made a case for himself. He was vocal about it, which you don't see a lot with players. He was very vocal about what was transpiring, even why he wanted the new deal and how he felt. And then the Dolphins actually met him where he wanted to be met, and he got paid, right? He got a new contract, different things like that, and he was able to stay in Miami after requesting a trade. We don't see that a lot. A lot of times guys request trades, the relationship goes sour. They were able to, at least for now, mend that relationship. What are your thoughts on that entire situation?
Well, I think that Xavier Howard deserves every penny he gets. What they've done is that they've given them the bonus money they were holding, dangling out there. If you did this, you got that money. If you did that, you got this money. They're giving him all that money now. There's no more incentives on bonuses. It's easy. He called for he can make between 12.5 and 16.5. He's going to make that 16.5 this year, no matter what. But I mean, I love Xavier Howard. He's the best player on my defense. I mean, of course, I am a big guy for. I need to get better pressure from my front seven. I need not to give up big plays in a run game like we did last year. That are the two things where if we can tighten that up a little bit, we can actually take that next step in being a top 5 defense on a week-to-week basis. They were good last year, but they were good against bad teams a lot of times last year. I'm a realistic fan. They need to play better against better teams. And, If they can do that, we're going to be pretty good, I think.
I can understand that, and I'll just throw this out there, and we'll bring up the will while I do throw it out there. You said that Xavier Howard's the best player in your defense. I disagree. I'm going to go with Byron Jones just because he's a little more versatile. I think Xavier's definitely the best corner, but Byron Jones, because he can play safety and corner, I would probably say he's probably the best overall player on your defense.
I love both of the guys. They kind of feed off of one another. I think what makes Xavier Howard as good as he is because Byron Jones, you look at Byron Jones and he's always with his guy. And Xavier Howard is one of them guys that kind of baits you. He gives you that 3 yards and all of a sudden he takes it away from you right away. So, I mean, they work well off of each other. Yeah, man, 1A. As long as they led the league in turnovers last year, if they do that again this year, I'm happy either way. So
he definitely takes that 3 yards away from you unless your name is Calvin Ridley. All right, in 3, 2, 1. Uh-oh.
We're good.
All right, number 7. So my prediction was off. You got number 7, not number 1. 7, that's one of those slightly middle of the pack, slightly toward the end. It's like, what is number 7? How do you feel about, pick number 7, right?
I like it. It puts me in a spot where I can still get one of a very good running back. Will I get probably who I would prefer to have? Probably not, because they're going to be the first 2 picks as far as I'm concerned. But I'll still get a solid running back at number 7, and I'll be okay looking at whatever comes in round 2. And needless to say, my favorite number is 7, so I'm good.
All right. Well, Ray, we're not going to hold you too much longer, so we appreciate your time. Again, congratulations on being a grandfather. Give our best to Ryan and his wife. I
will. One more thing. The greatest thing about what happened with Xavier Howard in Miami is that if it were Adam Gase was still there, they'd have traded him already. Okay, so Ryan Flores treats guys like men, and I think they respect him because of that. So
this is true. Adam Gase is somebody who listen, I'm gonna let that lay where it lies. We're gonna end on that note. Ray, enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you.
All right, man. You guys take care. Be safe out there, okay?
You're right.
All right, man.
All right. So, man, number 1 is still on the board, ladies and gentlemen. My prediction was wrong. I thought Ray was going to get it. It's still on the board. Man,
I think we got going to have his hands on Christian McCaffrey.
I was going to say, I think Jerome Jones ends up getting the number 1 pick. But before Jerome, we got to go to Matt. We're going to introduce Matt. It's going to be 1 or 11. Those are it. So Matt McCoy is on the clock. He recently lost 20 pounds. You look like it, man. You look good. The goal is to lose 20 more. All right, well, we don't want you disappearing on us, Matt. But, hey, listen, do your thing. He's not much of a golfer, but he has 2 holes and 1 to his credit. Man, that is phenomenal. I cannot drive to save my life. I got to take lessons. Your boy can still spin it. He can throw the football 60 yards. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a full 60 yards. And he was once a top 5 statewide high jumper. That man's got bounce. You heard it here first. He's got bounce. Listen, I want to know, how'd you lose 20 pounds?
Man, I got a good wife, man. She cooks my meals for me. So always give credit to the lady, man. If you ain't learned that yet, you always give credit to your woman.
There you go. They say it starts in the kitchen. It starts in the kitchen. And you're a high jumper. A statewide top 5 high jumper at one point. Like,
that's about 15 odd years ago, man. You always put on a little pound since then. But no, man, once upon a time, your boy had some hops.
That's what I like. That's what I like to hear, man. Somebody that means you had explosion to you, which is a phenomenal trait. Sam, any questions for the champ?
Another guy that has a lot of explosion of athletic ability, Christian McCaffrey. I mean, what do you think about him? Does he, lock himself into the number 1 spot in a fantasy football draft in every draft, or how do you view the top 3 running backs, 3 or 4 running backs?
Yeah, I mean, I've listened to you guys throughout the night. I think you hit the nail on the head. McCaffrey clearly should be considered at the top. Dalvin Cook, to his credit, should be considered up there as well. We're talking just your, standard league, super flex. You're bringing in quarterbacks and Mahomes and all that into it. But just this type of league, we're starting 1 quarterback. I feel like it's probably a two-horse race this year. I think there are enough question marks around Kamara. Who's going to play quarterback? Is it going to be Taysom? Will it be Jameis? With the big dog Derrick Henry, he's as good a runner as anybody in the league, but doesn't give you much as a receiver. McCaffrey and Cook can do it all. So that's what you're getting with those kind of guys. You're getting basically, as many of your guests tonight have said, two players in one, really. So, I mean, you can't really go wrong with either one at the top, if you ask me.
That's good. You brought up Taysom Hill, and we're going to bring up the wheel right now. But while we bring up the wheel, I want to ask you about Taysom Hill. Let's say the nod goes to Taysom Hill to be the starter. Does Taysom Hill, does his value in fantasy, does it go up? Or do you think that he still shouldn't be a guy that people look at? I mean, he's a guy we know he can run the ball, he can catch the ball, he can block, he can throw the football. He went, I believe, 4-1 when Drew Brees was out. So is he somebody whose stock rises in fantasy if he is, in fact, named the starter as we bring up the wheel?
No question about it. I mean, most outlets that I know, if you ask them, well, if you could just pick the Saints quarterback, we don't know who it's going to be, but if it could be the Saints quarterback, where would it be? It'd be basically a top 10 quarterback. We just don't know who is actually going to be under center. So Taysom, like you said, he played 5 games last year. He was top 12 quarterback every time he took the field. It doesn't have to be pretty. You don't have to be Joe Montana. The fact that he can run, and we know how important rushing is at the fantasy quarterback position, I mean, it's crucial for him. So, yeah, now if Taysom was the full-time starter and you knew he was going to start 16, 17 games this year, he'd be a top 10, 12 guy.
I like it. Well, let's see what pick you get and see if Taysom Hill will be a starter. Let's go ahead and start in 3, 2, spin.
Spin that wheel.
Oh, what's it going to do?
I can't
11. Oh, it was so close to number 1. So close to number 1. Our prediction came true. Okay. All right. So, Matt, you got the number 11 pick. This is a pretty good pick, in my opinion. I would prefer to have that pick over 9. But how do you feel about it?
So, hold up, though. Let's get to one thing. So the CEOs get the number 1 pick. What are we doing here, man? We're paying homage to the man. I get it now. It's funny. I'm not sure who got picked 12. They mentioned it earlier. I like drafting at the bottom. I really do. I like getting those picks back to back. You mentioned a guy's name earlier, like Calvin Ridley. Man, if you could pair like a Stephon Diggs and Calvin Ridley, bang, bang at the bottom of the draft, I mean, that's nothing wrong with that. So, to me, running backs are going to go early. I may go a different direction at pick 11 and pick 15 or 14. So but it gives you a lot of options, and getting 2 top 15 players, nothing wrong with that.
It'll definitely be interesting to see. Matt, thank you so much for joining us. Good luck to you, and good luck on your weight loss journey. I'm about to join you after this vacation I'm going to take this week, because I'm going to stuff my face this week, and then after that, I'm going to get back to, getting back into the gym and doing everything like that.
Well, listen, I appreciate y'all, man. You're working overtime. Get some rest after all this. All right now?
For sure. Thank you so much. Have a good one. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Sam's prediction came true. The CEO, Mr. Jerome Jones himself, has the number 1 overall pick. No, this was not scripted. No, this was not foreseen. No, this was not rigged. You saw it here. He spun the wheel. Everything was legit. But the CEO, for the first time inside the hashes, Fantasy Football League history, the CEO has the number 1 overall pick. Hopefully he doesn't fumble it like I did when I had it 2 years ago, and he doesn't draft Le'Veon Bell. Jerome Jones, we're going to bring on to the scene now. We're going to introduce him. He is the owner of some type of company. We're not exactly sure what type of company that is. We're not really too sure, but he says that he's the owner of a company. He ain't got no job, Tommy. All right, randomly just recently moved to Georgia. He is now an Atlanta Falcons fan. We're not going to talk about that. He started cornerback and he's semi-pro with no prior experience. This is true. I can corroborate that claim. Jerome never played football. He got on the team, and not just got on the team. He started. I remember going against some very good corner, one of the better corners I faced all year. Absolutely hates eggplants, beets, and liver. I'm right with you, except for the eggplant. Eggplant is actually pretty good when cooked right. Eggplant parm is off the chain, and I agree with you. Dallas sucks. All right, Mr. Jerome Jones is in the building. What?
I got. Hold on, guys. I got 2 questions. First of all, who put that picture up there? Who put that picture up there? I ain't edit that. No, that was funny. Picture was actually on my birthday. Actually, the Eagles played in Dallas, and we went to the what's that stadium right next to the Eagles? Infinity Life Stadium. And it was crazy in there. The Eagles were down at one point, and then the Eagles came back and blew up the Cowboys. They gave out those shirts. It was an incredible time. Second thing, oh my God, I hate the first overall pick. If anybody thinks I cheated on this, I hate the first overall pick. I think it was the 3rd overall pick in his league, and I hated it too. So first overall pick, I always hate that pick. And
we can switch. We can trade right now. We can trade right here, right now on air. We can trade live on air right now. You can have number 9, sir. You can take it.
Great.
Oh man, yeah. Let's do that. Let's talk
there we go.
this.
We'll talk after this. All right. So I mean, obviously, you got number 1. There's a slew of players at your leisure. You literally can take whoever you want. At this point, there's nobody off the board at this point. So your draft board is fully intact. Who are you taking?
Justin Tucker.
Brad.
I think it's pretty obvious who I should pick. I'm going to think long and hard about it because I have some theories, actually. You know me, if you guys don't watch the Air It Up podcast, you know I'll go outside the box with a lot of things I do and say. And I really look into not just the consensus that everybody talks about. I look into the back end of stuff and look at how things kind of play out. So this is why I hate the first overall pick, because it's just like, should I go for what's pretty much obvious, or should I look into, something a little bit different? I hate the first overall pick. If we are going to do trades, that might be something that we do. Darren says, can we switch to room from 12 to 1? That actually, I would rather, I don't like 12 either, to be honest, but I'd rather have 12 than 1 for sure. 100%.
All I'm saying is number 9 is ready for you. It's ready and available.
Actually, you know what? When a little backstage, when Ray was picking, I was hoping Ray got 1 and I got 7. As soon as I seen him got 7, I just cried. I was like, "Oh my God, I'm getting number 1. I know it," and it happened.
Matt was so close to getting number 1.
He really was. This is close to not having 1, like literally.
Man. All right. I mean, Sam, any questions for the CEO?
I mean, Jerome, everything on the line. You're in a fantasy league with, whoever you'd want. Everything on the line every week. Are you picking McCaffrey 1 if you're stuck in number 1, like no matter what?
Like I said, McCaffrey, I'm gonna give it probably a 85% chance. Okay. I'm just gonna put it out there, 85% chance. Again, like I said, we got 2 weeks into the draft, so make sure if y'all don't check, if you're watching right now, definitely go check that out in 2 weeks. It's gonna be very interesting what everybody does, because no one's gonna be somebody drafting somebody crazy, and you're gonna be like. Darren Braxton. So we will definitely see. Like I said, it'll probably be an 85% chance if I don't trade the pick. We haven't actually made a ruling on that rule yet, so we're gonna see how that goes. But Christian McCaffrey will be 85%, and then I'll definitely look into it a little bit more. See, if there's somebody that I would like a little bit better, this and that. But I can't see myself really getting off of Christian McCaffrey, to be honest.
Okay, so here's my last question to you, and we'll go ahead and close out the night. All the premier quarterbacks are gone. No more Patrick Mahomes, no Josh Allen, no Lamar Jackson, no Kyler Murray, no Matt Ryan, no Matthew Stafford, right? The guys that spread the ball around, they're all gone. And you're left with the young guys who are mobile, but you're just not sure how they're going to play. You've got Jalen Hurts on the board. You got Trey Lance on the board. You've got Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, anybody else, any other young mobile quarterbacks? Joe Burrow's on the board. Who are you picking?
Darren. Darren. We all know who you're going to pick. It's no secret.
Hashtag 350.
Yes.
But yeah, so again, so who are you picking there? Which of those guys would you say, you know what? I think this guy I'm gonna take a chance on.
Okay, so there's three players that if they're on the board and I'm stuck with nobody, that I'm picking them. And the only reason I'm telling you guys this because if you watch the podcast, it's pretty obvious. Justin Herbert, number one, obviously, is my guy. So if he's still on the board, he's my guy. I've been banging the table for him since he got drafted. And a guy that'd be mad at the Senior Bowl, really humble guy. He's really hungry to play. And I kind of foreseen him getting Rookie of the Year last year. And I think he's going to be I don't think he's going to get MVP, but he might be in that conversation, like top 5 MVP. And that's my prediction for this year. Hot take, Sunday. But my next guy is a guy that I actually drafted in Avery's draft. It's a guy that I think that a lot of people are sleeping on. Man got a lot more targets. He's looking actually pretty good in preseason right now, and that'd be Tua Tagovailoa. I'm still working on that.
Tua Tagovailoa.
Yeah, as you know, if y'all watch RPO podcast, which I'm on also, I am terrible at names. So Tua will be the next guy. I think that he will be somebody. And another guy that I talk about a lot on the Air Dog podcast that I am very excited to see. I hope he starts earlier than later. But Trey Lance, I've been talking about him a lot as well. So that's 3 guys. If you guys are still in here watching, I know John Lucas in here still watching. I just give you the keys and things like that. So that is my 3 guys. If I don't get a quarterback, but I have like 5 quarterbacks before him. Some of them are like probably a little bit more than that, but there's some obvious ones and there's some ones that people might be like, wait, he has him over some guys? Yeah. So my rankings are a little bit different and odd from everybody else. I don't like watching fancy podcasts. No offense to anybody, or even our own fantasy podcast. No offense to that, but I don't like going off of what that is. I like to go off what I know, what I see, and how I feel about a player. So
solid. I'm not mad at it at all. There you have it, folks. Jerome Jones, Mr. CEO himself, has the number 1 overall pick. Jerome, thank you for putting this whole thing together. We're going to go ahead and let you go and continue to do your thing behind the scenes. Man, it's been a phenomenal night. Sam, give me your thoughts, man. Again, we've got CEO, number 1 overall. Talk to us, man.
I think 1 and 12 are really funny. I mean, it's, Jerome, and, we're going to see if Brack's Darren here. I mean, it's going to be really interesting. But I kind of like how I'm in the middle at 6. You're right at 9, I think. And I think 9's not a bad spot either. But for sure, I'm excited for this draft. And it was a fun night just talking about different spots and, who could go where and who will go where.
Definitely a fun night. I'm not okay with 9, but hey, listen, I'm gonna make it work. I can't wait to see exactly how this goes. I mean, it's gonna be very, 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 very interesting, man. I mean, some really good players this year, right? I think this year, when it comes to running back, there are so many good running backs this year that I don't really think you can miss as far as as long as guys stay healthy, right? I mean, we can go down the list: Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara, Dalvin Cook, Nick Chubb. We're talking about Austin Eckler. You're talking J.K. Dobbins. You're talking David Montgomery, Josh Jacobs, I mean, the list goes on and on. I'm not sure what that was. The list goes on and on. And these are, and we're not even halfway through the starting running backs in the league. Again, you got Myles Gaskin, Miles Sanders, that a lot of people are really kind of down on, but I think Miles Sanders is going to have a bounce back season, pretty good, solid year. Again, a guy who can run the football and catch the football at the backfield. You got Joe Mixon. There's so many running backs that I think it's going to be a really, really good year for running backs this year, man. So it's going to be interesting to see. What are your thoughts about it?
Yeah, no, I'm excited to see the young wideouts personally. That's more just what I'm thinking. There's a lot of names. There's a lot of second-year guys, too, that, guys like CD who didn't, completely break out, but everyone's expecting that. So it's interesting to see how him and Amari Cooper kind of tangle along in Dallas. And I think this year there's some huge storylines. We just hit on one with Sam Fran and Trey Lance. And personally, by the end of the season, I see him playing and lining up for that team in the playoffs. On paper, they're a playoff roster. And you got to use the most explosive and the most talented quarterback on your team to win football games in this league. That's the bottom line. And at the end of the day, no matter if George Kittle and the rest of that Niner team love Garoppolo, they're going to have to put the ball in Trey Lance's hands because they invested too much. And Kyle Shanahan has been dreaming of this offense with him under center. That's been the plan. It has been. But, I think Kansas City revenge tour, another one right there. I mean, they're going to be playing harder than ever, and I think anyone that thinks Kelsey or Hill is going to trend downward this season is kind of out of their minds. I don't think there's any reasons to think about that. I think you would agree with me there, Avery, correct?
Yeah, for sure. I think that I think the only question mark, if there are any question marks for Kansas City, is obviously the offensive line, right? A lot of new faces on that offensive line. How are they going to gel? How are they going to, mold with each other? And so that's the biggest question for me. And then obviously the back end of their defense, I think has some question marks there too. But really it's the offensive line. We saw in the Super Bowl, the Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. He's phenomenal. He's worth every penny he got paid. All of those different things. It's just his offensive line didn't give him any time. He was running around for his life. His receivers at the time weren't bailing him out the way they had all throughout the season and throughout the playoffs and different things like that. And I think it all started with the fact that the offensive line was so hurt. So the question is, based on, even what I saw in the preseason yesterday, just seeing him kind of running around again, I'm like, okay, I'm questioning, is this guy going to have the time that's necessary to be able to get those guys like Tyreek Hill down the field and Travis Kelce open over the middle? And then the question really comes to is who's going to take the leap as far as that third guy, that third option. Is it going to be Mecole Hardman? Is it going to be Clyde Edwards-Helaire? Is he going to take a step forward, right? So it'll be very, very, very interesting to see what happens this season. I can't wait for it. Next thing that you guys can look out for as far as fantasy from us guys is the actual fantasy draft. That is actually going down September 5th. That is, I believe, 2 Sundays from now. We are actually going to start the draft. I cannot wait. Ladies and gentlemen, please tune in to that. It's going to be a phenomenal, phenomenal night. Remember, Jerome Jones, Mr. CEO, currently has the #1 overall pick. We're going to talk behind the scenes and see how we decide to, if we're going to decide to trade picks or anything like that. I'm one of those advocates for letting it lay how it lies, right? That's what it is. No trades. Let's get this thing started, but we'll see what happens. I'm just one guy. Sam, it's always a pleasure to host with you, man. Always a pleasure to have you on. Give us your final farewells.
Yeah, thank you, Avery. I mean, it was a great time. I'm excited for this to get rolling, and come draft night, this will be a fun stream as well. So hope everyone tunes in and checks it out.
Definitely. And I can't wait to get back in person. For myself, Avery Collins, and for Sam Kirk, for Jerome Jones, who was not on the screen at the time, we'd like to thank everybody who tuned in, everybody who watched, everybody who shared this live stream. Don't forget to follow us on all your social media platforms at Inside Hashes on Twitter, Inside the Hashes on Instagram and Facebook. And Do not forget to check out the website at www.insidethehashes.com. Check out the blogs, the player interviews, the gaming, all of the things that we have to offer, and stay locked in because we are about to draft in 2 weeks. 2 weeks, it's going down. All right. With that being said, the selection show is officially a wrap. Avery Collins, Sam Kirk, over and out. Peace.